Hello, thank you for watching this YouTube video today. Today I'm going to be going over basically tags on items, or not on items, but on gems rather. And what tags are when you hover over a gem, right under the name, it'll show the tags of that gem. And Cold Snap, for instance, have the tags of cold, spell, and area effect. Well, what you might be wondering is, what does that actually mean, and what does that have to do with anything, really? Well, the tags of the gem are super important because it tells you what passives work with the skill, what support gems work with the skill, and basically what different item affixes and suffixes and prefixes will increase the spell's effectiveness in the end. And the best way to just look, so for instance, Cold Snap says cold, spell, and AoE. So that means any cold damage nodes would affect it, any area effect nodes, blast radius, area effect radius, and amplify, and these area effect nodes, so all those would affect it. Elemental damage would affect it because elemental is a tag that considers all element damage, which is lightning, fire, and cold. So it's just basically a way of describing how an ability works, and it helps you know exactly how a spell is going to be affected by different support gems. So, for instance, like item rarity doesn't really matter because it's just a support and it works on any skill. But then there's other ones like attack support. Attack support means the gem has to be attack. Cold Snap is a spell, so additional accuracy would not work with Cold Snap. Stun would work on anything because it's just a support. Let's see here. Critical damage would work on anything, it's just a support. Cold to Fire will only work on a spell if it's a cold or a fire spell or a support spell. Although if it's a fire spell, it's not really going to do anything unless somehow you're making that fire damage do cold damage, which would be added cold with a fireball and then using this, which is just stupid. But you get the idea though. If you use cold with the cold to fire, it turned that Cold Snap into fire damage. So it gives you a little more of an idea of how these supports actually work, and it shows how they are affected too. So the reason why Cold to Fire says cold, fire, and support too is that's because any fire damage that you put on your tree, that you get on your items, you get on your weapons, or any other gems that deal with fire damage. This adds the tag to all of that, so any of the fire damage that you have will get increased by your passives and stuff. Or you can now use, like if you were doing a Cold Snap with Cold to Fire and then Chance to Ignite, your Cold Snap would have a Chance to Ignite without critting. So I mean, it gives you an idea of a little bit of a better idea of how these tags work. Another thing to look out for too is like projectile spells. A spell that's a projectile will always say projectile on the spell, and that's how you know it's going to work with certain things. The three things that get mixed up together is fork, chain. So there's chain. Let's grab a fork. Do I have a fork in here somewhere? Well, fork, chain, and pierce all don't really work well with each other. It actually has a an order of precedence, and I think it goes fork, pierce, or no, it goes pierce, fork, then chain. So if the skill pierces, then it won't fork or chain. If the skill pierces but doesn't actually pierce, then it'll fork, and then after the fork, it'll chain. So it gives you an idea of that's why you don't really want to use all three of those together because they don't really work that well together, and you're kind of wasting gems. So yeah, and then there's other things like chain is chaining and projectile, and arc, the spell arc, is only a chaining ability, so it will only be affected by chain, but it wouldn't be affected by fork, and it would not be affected by pierce. And I guess the best way to show you this is just to show you the actual arc gem. I didn't have one on the other characters, but yeah, see, it only has lightning, spell, and chaining. So that means only spell damage, lightning damage up here, and anything that deals with chain. So like this, my Mjolnir skills chain +1 times. So it gives you an idea what those tags actually mean, how it describes the spell. Otherwise, I think that's really all I have to say about tags. Thank you for watching this video, and if you liked it, please follow me on Twitch. Stay classy.